Yeah, guys, I remember when I was a 24-year-old and I was looking to switch from my computer science background to product management. I had countless days when I used to apply at multiple places, did not hear back from them, and I was just generally just not sure where I wanted to head. And I remember it was not a very good time and I struggled a lot. But don't worry, in this video, I'll help you struggle a little bit less. And the bonus tip here, I'll give you my framework on how to pick the best career for you. So come along. So now, without further ado, let's get this video going. Yeah, so like I said, I'll give you my framework on how to pick up the right job for you, and I'll also give you the job options available. Now, mind you, there are countless job options available in this world. I mean, I could be a nurse, I could be a surgeon, I could be a teacher, I could be a product manager. But I have limited down the scope here for jobs in tech, jobs that I feel have great future potential, and jobs that are relevant for people who have an engineering background or people. It's okay if you're not even an engineering background, but at least for engineers also all jobs are open. A lot of times engineers face that they are sort of scoped out of business roles or certain domains, but all of these jobs are good for engineers as well as non-engineers. In case there's anything which wouldn't work for any of these domains, I'll talk about it. But otherwise, these are very generic jobs, but in the field of technology, which I feel have great scope in terms of the kind of demand they'll have, the kind of transferability of skills that you have, and the kind of remuneration also that you can get in these roles. So let's get going. So here's my framework. I just use a basic 2x2, like any consultant would, in which I break down my interests and my abilities into a high-low model. So basically, high interest, high abilities here, low interest, low abilities is here, and then high-low. You figure it out. Now, I would prefer any job that is either very high in both abilities and interest for me, or I would also be good with a job which has at least very high score in my interest, and in abilities I can still gain those abilities. So it has to be at least high in interest, and abilities that will be a good to have. But if it's low in interest, I think you can try to develop interest in the field, but if you don't feel excited by the job role itself, then I would say there's no point trying to chase something that you don't like yourself. So you know what you like, right? So going backing off to Arushi of, let's say, 25, 26, when she was looking to change her careers, and I was trying to figure out how to best choose which is the best field for me. And mind you, I've spoken about this before. At that point I was confused between product management and marketing, and I think I used something like this framework to make my final decision. What helps is that I had a lot of consultants in my life, so they gave me the structure, I think. So yeah, coming to the 2x2 for me, my abilities at that point were, I think, 3 abilities that I can remember right now. The first one, of course, I was a coder, so technology was a definite ability for me. The second was logical thinking. I knew even if I was not a very good developer, I was good at logical thinking. I could think of algorithms, so that's the second one. And third, which I like to think, is my communication skills were decent. So let's say these were my 3 abilities. My interests, on the other hand, were obviously, the first one was again technology. I had the ability and I also had the interest in technology. The second one was leadership. I wanted to be in a position where I had visibility, where I could make changes, I could drive changes. And the third one was I wanted to work with people. I knew I don't want to be an individual contributor or someone who's coming up with analysis, impactful analysis, but by herself. So that's my 2x2 over here. I know what my abilities and interests are, and now let's look at the jobs that 24-year-old Arushi would consider at this day and age. Maybe all of them were not available or not that fancy for me back then, but right now, knowing what I know, this is how I would have put these jobs as. So the first one that I want to talk about is data science. While data scientists have always been around, and they were there when I was 24 as well, but in the world of artificial intelligence, nothing beats the impact a data scientist can drive. Now, of course, the machines have been able to consume data and have been able to get patterns out of data, but it is a data scientist who eventually started feeding the machine or started training the machine in a certain manner. So as AI advents, data scientists would continue making more and more progress in that field. Now, to make you understand what a data scientist does, so for example, you have a library of data and you're a detective. You have to figure out a clue from all of those books around you. what would you do? You'd probably structure all those books as per category, as per how they look, hardbound, softbound. You'll figure out a way to categorize them, and then you'll probably, basis on what clue you're trying to find, maybe you think the clue is in new books, so you'll probably go there and try to find patterns so that the clue emerges out, right? Similarly, a data scientist would maybe categorize data and then try to look at patterns in data to figure out if there's any clue emerging out. That's a very, very simplistic definition of a data scientist, but in a nutshell, the data scientist works very closely with data, and he has to be someone who is a definite logic thinker, who is definitely good with data, and not usually, these guys don't usually have to be extremely good with people skills, but they have to be extremely analytical. So this is, industries like insurance, banking, they rely heavily on people who are good with data. Of course, it's a very sought after profession, but going back to Arushi of 24 years old, while this is an interesting profile, a couple of places where it doesn't match my interest and abilities. I was interested in working with people, and clearly a data scientist wouldn't give me that much opportunity for that. The other thing is, although my interest was logical thinking, but working with data was never a part of my interest or my abilities, so it was a kind of no-no for me back then. But if it floats your boat, go ahead. I think if you're someone who definitely loves data, likes to see pattern emerge out of numbers, you would love it. So go ahead, you have my full blessings. So that's data scientists. Coming to the next profile, that is of course product managers. I think I've spoken enough about product managers and what they do, but just a quick brief about a product manager. One thing that I've been saying a lot frequently is that a product manager is like your mother. Remember when you were at home and your mother used to, even if she was a homemaker, she used to figure out how to do finances, home decor, plan your trips and so on and so forth. Like, she was on top of everything, and she was not the master of anything. It's just that she was the glue that held things together, or she was the oil that made sure everything ran smoothly. That is what a product manager is. They don't always know what's the best way to do something, but they're the ones who coordinate like the head of the orchestra to make everything just stitches well together. Of course, that's a very abstract way of explaining what a PM does. But imagine again another example. If I was doing my own business and let's say I was building an app for people to buy pets from. Now, if I'm building the app, if that's my business, I need to make sure that whoever is coming eventually purchases the pets, right? I have to make sure that the experience is good enough, the sales is happening properly, conversion is smooth, we are re-engaging with people who came to the app and so on and so forth. A product manager basically owns that metric of making sure that people come again and again, and that product manager doesn't need to be a PM always. It can be the owner of the business as well, but he's the one who owns the metric and figures out business strategy and how to do it. Now, he can get a lot of help, but at the end of the day, he's the one making all the shots. I know it still might be tricky, but you can refer to my other videos about what a PM does. Maybe that will help you more. A PM had a lot of qualities that I loved. So, example, a PM obviously works in technology. A product manager works with people. A product manager is also quite logical. He has to be very logical in nature, and he has to work with developers as well. Plus, it's a highly visible role. So, Sundar Pichai was a product manager, right? So we do know that product managers eventually grow and can become CEOs in an organization. That part was actually the thing that excited me the most. It gave me a path to CEO, which I don't know why back then I couldn't see it in depth, which was very stupid of me. But anyway, I figured that could be my path up, and maybe that's why in my interest ability curve it fit right there in my interest and my ability high quadrant. Anyway, coming to the next one, I think this is one that I might prefer or get confused with in this current age, which is designer or a UX UI researcher / designer. Now, a designer is like a architect or like an interior decorator of your house. Now, they don't just like design anything. They need to speak to the people who are going to live in that house, understand what they like, what they don't like, what is it that they expect, what is it that they want to feel when they enter a room, and accordingly then they figure out what is the best way to make the users of that house feel the way they want to feel, right? That's what an interior designer does, and this is what a UX UI designer does for the app. For example, again going back to that pets app example, if I was a UX UI designer for that app, I'd speak to the people who come into that app and ask them, what are you expecting from this app? What do you want to see so that you'll convert better, so that you will buy more pets. And they'll soon realize that people who buy more pets are actually the kind of people who love looking at pet videos, and before buying a pet, people want to know if it's a pure breed or not, which breed is it coming from, what are the diseases that they could have, and so on and so forth. People are at times first time pet owners, and they want to have this information about what to expect when you're getting a new pet, right? So if a designer understands that people have a lot of doubts, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of love towards pets, then they can build an experience which actually caters to all of these feelings. It's really a very, very interesting domain for, I think, a couple of reasons. First, I have actually seen organizations and startups in India open new offices in different geographies just because they couldn't hire designers in one. I mean, designers are dictating organizations right now because the talent is so scarce, which means that you can actually ask for top bucks. They do have a better work-life balance, so they don't have as much pressure on them as a product manager likely would have. The third thing is they have a lot of impact still. I mean, everything you see on the app, it's designed by that designer, so they can see the impact of their work right up front. So that's great. So they have a lot of impact without so much responsibility, which makes it like a sweet spot. And like I said, it's a very much in demand profile. The final thing is that a designer, you do require some skills, some hard skills like Figma and all, but to become a product manager, I had to get an MBA, so it's I guess it's cheaper to become a designer in that sense. So I feel overall, if you're someone who's very empathetic, who is able to understand what people are feeling and actually put it into a design, into a visual form, and of course you have to be a little bit creative, it is a beautiful field because it gives you the right exposure. It gives you the eye into how product manager is thinking, and it's actually a very good way to probably go into the product management path as well. I mean, right now we don't see enough, but I'm sure in the future you will see people who are designers turned product managers turned CEOs. So it's a amazing place to start with. And it's an easier path because there are definite hard skills there. So you just pick up those hard skills, get in, and since I said there's a dearth of talent, so you'll get in more easily and then see what works for you, what again floats your boat. So again, for those of you out there who want to become product managers, I think product designer is a great place to start. And if you like it, stick with it. Coming to the next one that I want to cover is drum rolls. Marketeer, digital marketeer. Yes, I was confused between marketing and product management when I was young, again when I was 24, 25. But I think I hadn't considered digital marketing. I had considered the old school marketing where you do pamphlets on a real store, on an offline store, and you do activation exercises and so on. While a lot of respect to what that entails, but I think digital marketing is a science in itself. There's so much to do there. It is mathematical. You need to figure out what's your CAC, like what's the cost of customer acquisition. I have done a video on that, link to that. But what is your CAC, what is your conversion rate? You have to figure out all of those metrics, experiment a lot, and be very agile. And of course, the world of digital media is changing every day. I mean, I work in ads, and honestly, as a product manager also, I'm every day learning new things about ads. I feel I'm building it, but along with it, there's so many other people building so many cool things. So for a marketeer, it's an ever-changing field. It's not gonna go anywhere. Of course, with ChatGPT and all, some of the things have become easier. For example, your copywriting and all, but still the science of it is still, if you're good at it, if you understand it, there's no one like you. So again, digital marketer sits at a very sweet spot with respect to technology, with respect to how much money you can make with the profile. It's very well. You work with people. In terms of the abilities that it takes, it obviously requires you to be logical thinking, good with data, and it's with technology again. So all of those things are there. Communication as well is required because as a digital marketer, you have to write a lot of copies. You have to understand what people will react to. You have to do a lot of research. So it's right dead there. The only thing that when I was looking out, I didn't probably like about marketing, or I would say one thing that didn't work for me is that it's still not directly working with engineers, and I feel that's my core skill. I can speak the language of engineers, which is what is my X factor probably, and I wanted to probably use it. So guys out there, if there's any X factor that you think, for example, let's say you're coming from the healthcare industry and your X factor is that you understand health tech, go there, shoot for it, use it wisely, use it appropriately, use it a lot, because that is something nobody else can get. So use it smartly, craftily, and I think it'll help you stand out. That's what I did with my engineering penny. So okay guys, with that, I think I've spoken a lot in this video. I hope it helped you figure out what's the right framework to figure out what's the best role for you. It also helped you understand a couple of these emerging roles. I feel digital marketer, designer, data scientist, product managers, these are all very interesting roles. Do think about them and do reach out to other people in your network, or comment on the section below if you have any questions about any of these domains. I have worked directly with these people, and if not, I can bring in more people from my network for interviews if you guys have specific questions. So put on the section below. Obviously product management I can answer, but any other field I'll be happy to get the right people for you. If you have any more questions about changing careers, what is it that you're thinking about, what are your challenges, do mention on the section below and I'll be happy to help you out. So with this, I bid adieu. Thank you for watching so far. Please like this video if you like the content and share it with your friends if you like the content. I'll see you next time. Ta-da!